Hi everyone and welcome back to game number 2 between Lathans and Coopz. Lathans this time on the right in blue as the 79th, and over on the left in red we have Coopz as the 39th, so they have switched divisions basically. Now this map is a good map for big tanks, let's be fair. It's got a lot of open areas and a lot of places where those tanks can shoot into these towns. Now, as we would expect, the majority of Coopz's forces coming down to Alpha, plenty of infantry in there, really important to hold that town. Up here we have a smattering of units, certainly a command gone in there straight away, a Strela as well to protect that command. We've got a lot of choppers with those recon units up here, so Lathans can get there nice and early. MiG-23 coming in again for Coopz. He does like bringing one of those in pretty early game to deal with these choppers. Pretty effective, but will take fire from a Coop there. Another Strata coming in. Lathans mostly focusing on the top point, as we might expect. Little bit of movement down here for him, nothing too exciting at this point in time. I do see various recon units moving in up here for Coopz. SU-25 rocket coming in here, I assume was going to go for that Mi-24K. May still get it. Strela is coming in. Strela's on attack move. It should be in range. Yes, it is. Strela will engage. Misses. Second shot. Gets a hit. Attack beacon has gone down for Lathans. He wants that dead. Attack beacon has gone down on these units here as well. Wow, Strela absolutely trying to annihilate that chopper. SU-25 coming back in, no. Strela unfortunately reloading, chopper is down. Rocket attack even gets some shots off down here as well. SU-25 doing the business there. Very little down here for Lathans. Now the thing with Coopz is he hasn't quite done what Lathans would do here, which is push out. He is slowly moving units up. Now he's not met much resistance, but in the opposite situation Lathans would be out here trying to put the pressure on. Lathans, interestingly, a lot of units here for Lathans. He's completely evac'd Bravo. He knows that there's no push coming there at the moment, completely evac'd it, and is now pushing a huge amount of forces across this open terrain here towards these units. This is actually an interesting strategy. It's not something we see very often. Not many people push across the middle. There always are attempts at it, most of them unsuccessful. But right now, there isn't actually a lot there to stop these tanks and things coming down. And there's a command tank there that can be rolled in on the side of this point. And if Lathans controls the back of this point, that's a big, big problem. Because it cuts off the supply road. It's a bit like when you come in here, so if Coopz had pushed out here and managed to push up to here, then he covers this supply road, which obviously makes getting reinforcements in for Lathans an absolute nightmare. Lathans looks to be going to do the same thing to Alpha. Getting around this side and block off this supply road. Now it's harder to block off because there's a lot more trees along it, so unless you've got units in these trees, then, you know, stuff coming in isn't as susceptible. Whereas here, you've got this huge area where it's just open. So if you are, you know, here, you can shoot most of that road. But this is just a nice, slow, methodical push from Lathans across the center here. Some anti-tank guns coming in here and here for Coopz. Anti-tank guns not something we see used a lot. I mean, they're really, really susceptible to tanks. Tanks do a lot of damage to tank guns. Fair enough. They're obviously firing big shells and it's just a tank gun. So they will do a lot of damage. So not many people actually bring them. Most people just bring loads of tanks. Now, they're a lot cheaper. Let's be fair here. They're a lot cheaper and they do have reasonable missiles. But you have to keep them at range to use those missiles. Whereas the actual cannon range on the Rapira, for example, is only 2,100 meters. Compare that to a lot of the big tanks, which are 2,275. The T-62 is only 2,100, but the T-80 back here is 2,275. And that's the one that you'll be worrying about more here. And, you know, T-80 BV coming in, 2,275. Marker has gone down on that building as well. I mean, Lathans just taking his time here. Loads of units pushing up here as well. He's maybe going to do a push on Charlie. He's certainly brought in quite a lot up here, and there's not much there. Not that Lathans will know that, but he'll have some inkling as to what is where. Artillery piece in for Lathans as well. Not that I've seen it fire yet. Artillery piece in for Coopz 2. Some reinforcements coming in up here now, which is heading to this area. Oh wow, Lathans pushing out this way as well. That's interesting. Lathans is kind of spreading out everywhere here. I've not really seen this done before, so I'm a little bit mesmerized by it, to be honest. A lot of people push up and around the top, or they push in from this side. But we're seeing some completely different tactics being used here by Lathans in this game. He's literally going straight across here and down here and sort of spreading out. I mean, he's pushing the top as well. He's spreading out a lot. Now, this is interesting because Coopz quite often does that. Coopz doesn't necessarily bundle a lot of forces into one place. He's quite spread out. Now, is this Lathans responding to that, I wonder? But it's something I've not really seen Lathans do very much. We see a lot in the tournaments of this sort of blob warfare. It's a silly thing to call it, but it's where you got a lot of units all in one area and you push a certain way. Whereas this feels much more spread out right now. I mean, there's quite a lot of units clustered here, but this feels very spread out for Lathans. It's not something I see very often from the top players. It's usually a very big effort to push in one particular area and overwhelm a force, whereas this is a lot more spread out. That's maybe a blob. Maybe we can call that a blob. Lots of units defensively here for Coopz, but Lathans just taking his time and not bringing anything in down here. I think Lathans, now having watched Coopz probably and played against him a couple of times, is assessing how aggressive Coopz will be and responding to that. And at the moment, Lathans is thinking, well, he's not going to push Delta, so I'm not going to worry about it. And that's why we're just seeing very little here. Coopz is moving out slowly. He could just really do with being in Delta. Even with a few units, even just to cap it in this corner and kill that command. And then at least it puts the pressure on Lathans to either recapture Delta or really start pushing Charlie or Alpha. There's a lot of units here. And I feel like now that these have been spotted, we'll start to see some reinforcements called in for Lathans. Now that he knows this stuff's coming, we'll probably see a response. You know, there's not a lot being called in here at the moment. I'm very curious if stuff starts spawning there in the next minute or two. But let's just wait and see. It's sometimes fun to try and predict what's going through their heads and what their next move's going to be. Lots of units coming in at the top for Coopz. A couple of units still being brought in down here for him as well. There we go. As expected. Reinforcements. Lathans will cut off the ability for Coopz to get into Delta. And at the same time, he's moving down BMP2s here with infantry in, wanting to get into Alpha. And also keeping the pressure on up here. Just very slow, methodical pushing here from Lathans. Just taking his time about it. No rush. He's slightly ahead in points. Not enough for a win. I think it would count as a draw. But he's feeling pretty confident by the looks of it. Cleared out that building finally. Artillery is now firing at... Oh, interestingly, these buildings here, there isn't actually anything in. He's obviously not scouted that area yet. We might see that get cancelled if he gets some recon near enough. But there's a good amount of forces coming in here for Lathans. He'll have some good fire support as well. We're seeing a nice big tank coming in there, a T-80 for Coopz. But look at this, plenty of reinforcements here. BMP's arrived as well. I mean, this is now nicely defended. And Lathans won't just sit there. Lathans is going to push out. Lathans will push up to here if he can. He wants to strangle these troops, stop them getting reinforcements, and then push from this side. And there's the command for Coopz. He would have liked to push it round. And in an ideal world, being in there and having that corner at least would have been beneficial. But I think he's going to struggle to get in there now. Lathans has already accounted for that possibility. I like this here, though. Coopz being sneaky, getting stuff around the back. This is a really nice idea. It means that he could potentially have blocked off this back road, but the problem is there's no anti-air there. So he's going to be really susceptible to choppers. This is now firing on these units up here. Conker's obviously causing issues. This tank is arriving here. Some Sapri Commander is arriving. Yeah, Lathans immediately putting the pressure on, getting out from this area. MiG-23 coming in there. What's it going for? It's going for that recon chopper. Has taken a shot, though, and is immediately evacing. Nice, slow, very methodical push here from Lathans across the entire map. As I say, very spread out. There's plenty of space between groups of units here. Overwhelming force down here against one squad of infantry, of course. He's surrounded Coopz in this town now and is pushing in more of his forces. Obviously, he can also provide cover fire with the BMP-2s. More reinforcements coming into this point for Coopz, though. He should be able to hold for the moment. Marker's gone down somewhere. Marker on these buildings here for Lathans. I expect that'll be the next targeting point for the... Yes, indeed. After they've finished moving, they're going to target that building. Nice, slow artillery fire before pushing. Lots of fire coming in on these buildings now. I mean, these forces here are obviously completely cut off from supplies. Very nice maneuver here by Lathans across the center of the map. I feel like, unfortunately, in this game, Coopz is already struggling. Never say never. He could pull it back. He's just got to hold and try and kill a lot of this stuff that's coming in. But I feel like he's on the back foot. Lathans has the map control. He has the units to maintain that map control. And he seems to have the ability to keep his units at a good range. So he's not losing a lot as he pushes. He's just managing to maintain a really good distance with these tanks. And obviously, as I say, on this map, it's ideal for the 79th because of the tanks, because of the range they can maintain. Here's that T-80 BVK command tank now pushing down towards this alpha point. He's also got a Sapri Commander back there as well. SU-25 AT coming in here. I assume going to go for something in this forest. Will take fire from two Cubs, though, and is taken out. Takes a hit from an Igla, followed by the Cub. That is an instant down. Cub does 9 points of damage. Igla will do a couple at the start. Good positioning on BMP-2s here for Coopz, though. Keeping these units at bay, though. BMP-2s coming down for Lathans as well to try and counter that. BMP-2 firing missiles at each other here. Coopz would have hit first, but he has missed. Does Lathans get the hit? No. He smoked. But there we go. Lathans got his wish. He is now in here. He's got troops all the way to this point, which means he can block off the reinforcements to this point completely. It would mean Coopz would have to come down the bottom. He's got his command there. He's got another command down here. I mean, he could... Is this a... I'm not... You know, it's not amphibious, so he can't go through the water around the back, and I think that would be risky. I feel like Lathans would see that coming. Wait, is that? amphibious? Oh, it's because the Sapri Commander's selected. Hang on. Go to the vehicle. There we go. It is. Sorry, it is amphibious. I was going to say I thought it was amphibious. And then I opened the thing and saw it was missing. But of course, it's because it's got the infantry selected. Fair enough. So this is going to be a sneaky around the back. Not sure if it's going to make it there. Marker's gone down on those artillery. So we might see some counter battery fire here. Yes, we are going to. And Lathans hasn't moved his artillery yet. They are currently reloading to fire again. I think that's because there's been no counter battery fire, so Lathan's feeling he can just leave them there or has forgotten. Either way. He might be about to lose something. Buratino coming in. I mean, Lathans is brutal. He will annihilate your forces if he can. That Buratino is going to make a mess of this town. A big mess. Obviously, Coopz lost all his forces here, got completely cut off. Lathans now completely surrounding this town. Even having the ability to cut off reinforcements with just one squad there at the moment. But it means that, you know, Coopz isn't risking going down that road. Up here, Coopz is sort of pushing around the top, and he probably has enough forces to keep the pressure on Lathans up there. But he doesn't have a command that can sort of slip around the back quickly to get into Bravo. But there's nothing in Bravo. It's completely undefended. Marker's gone down here. Lathans, I think he has moved those artillery pieces now, yeah. These are still firing, yeah, at the previous location. So Lathans is well out of dodge for that now. That's the thing with counter battery. If you're against someone who's going to move their artillery around well, counter battery doesn't really work. Unless you can somehow predict where they're going to go. Unless you got recon there looking at them, it's very difficult. Lathans has made footfall in the town. Troops now in these buildings. Buratino prepping to fire on the centre of the town. And that'll be enough to do some damage and potentially force Coopz to pull back even further. Up here, Coopz has made a little bit of progress. See how many kills he gets. They got caught out of a building. They're going to get caught out of the building. Really effective. I mean, the cohesion losses, the damage, the destroyed buildings. Extremely effective, that Buratino, as ever. And Lathans going in immediately following that assault. Just laying down so much fire. All these coming in. SU-25 coming in again. But look at all of those Coopz and Strelas. The amount of missiles that missed. I mean, I'm surprised I didn't get killed on the first wave of missiles there. So many missed it. SU-25 here getting taken out by a Coopz and a Strela. Will get out alive, or will it? Oh, it doesn't. Lathans loses an SU-25 as well. These units here, obviously, it's great to have them behind, but without a command vehicle or command infantry to take Bravo, they're kind of just stuck. The Sapri commander still chugging around the back there. He will only contest the point, though, because there is a commander in there. Point has now gone to Lathans. +4 to Lathans. Ticking up those points pretty quickly now. It'll be very, very, very difficult for Coopz to get back in that point. There are a lot of forces here. Could he push the top? Potentially. There's nothing in... Oh, well, I mean... You see, I say this, and Lathans is already thinking about that. Lathans has already called in BMP-1 and another tank, a T-80U, to come and defend the top here in response to some of these units from Coopz pushing up. Lathans thinking 2 steps ahead every time, and another tank coming in as well. He's going to be ready to defend that point. BMPs here, I assume, racing round. Yeah, they're going to go for the artillery pieces here to get some cheeky kills on those if he can. May or may not get seen by the tank. Probably not. I think he might escape getting spotted by the tank, but something will spot them as they come in, I'm sure. Oh, No, he's not going to see them, I don't think. They're sort of keeping... Yeah. Very almost got spotted, but not quite. Supplies going in for them. He might get in to kill them, but I expect there's going to be more reinforcements coming that way very shortly. Loads of tanks coming in now for Coopz. But I don't think he's going to make it back into that point now. 90 minutes left of this game. But I'm afraid it could all be over already. Unless Coopz can mount some kind of major offensive at the top and get into Bravo, the game will be Lathans. Lathans even bringing units up from the bottom of the map to the top now to reinforce there. Sapri Commander chugging along. Oh. It's only got 5 fuel. It's out of fuel. BTR 60 gets lost at sea. Well, lost at a lake in this case, but that's a real shame, Coopz. That is a real shame. Commiserations to the Sapri Commander. They won't be going anywhere. You know, I'm not even sure that can be resupplied, because a supply chopper probably wouldn't be able to land to resupply it. I assume you would need a supply vehicle that is also amphibious. Literally dead in the water. Interesting. I hadn't really thought about that before, but yeah, you would need something that can indeed refuel and rearm in the water. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Does make me wonder about supply vehicles. There's only Urals in here. Huh. There must be some supply vehicles that are amphibious. I need to investigate that now. I hadn't really thought about it before. Coopz trying to keep a little bit of pressure on up here, but there's a nice big tank there for Lathans. There's another one hanging back here. He's got a couple of Motorstralki here, which could push in, but obviously they will be subject to getting hit by any choppers that Lathans brings in. You will note that unfortunately he did lose his 2 BMP2s before they got near the artillery pieces. He's bringing in a chopper there. He'll know something's been dropped off in this area somewhere. Yeah, recon chopper being called in as well. Lathans in pretty firm control at this point now. I very much doubt that, as I say, Coopz is going to get back in there. Difficult game for you, Coopz, there. Well played nonetheless. But yeah, Lathans just had that map control. Just aggressive at every side. Really interesting to see this very different strategy of pushing across the middle areas of the map. Just something very different to what we usually see. Not utilizing, you know, the buildings so much or the trees up here till, you know, later in the game, and utilizing a very open terrain for assaults. Nice to see something different done in these games, that's for sure. But that Buratino once again proving absolutely devastating. It's so strong in Warno. I mean, if you compare it to Wargame Red Dragon, it's devastating in Wargame Red Dragon, but only to infantry. It is a flame launcher, effectively. The best one in the game, by far. But in this, it does damage to everything because, you know, it's considered thermobaric rather than just a flame launcher or napalm launcher. Coopz managing to push out here a bit. Lathans getting very near the halfway mark in those points. More units being brought up from the bottom here. Lathans repositioning, quite happy with his defensive forces here. Even with a tank out front, look. I mean, that is a command tank out front. Obviously, very little concern at the moment. Repositioning his forces to push up here. Really good push going on from Coopz here, though. Loads of tanks pushing up. Should make very short work of all these units here. Conkers from the side may cause issues, though. Facing the right way, that tank, however. That one. Oh. Now, was that Lathans commanding those Conkers there to get that kill? Very possibly. Oh. That might have been a side shot almost. No, surely not. That surely was still the front. Another tank down. T80U able to fire in here. BMP3s, though, getting some shots off. Good effort from Coopz here, doing a little push down at this area. Lathans countering by moving his forces at the top. MiG-23 coming in to go for that chopper. MiG-23 is down. Coopz lost a lot of his tanks that he brought in here. T80U has survived that little encounter. Lathans still being quite aggressive up here, pushing. I think he did... Has he lost his big tank up here? I think the T80U that was up there... Oh, no. I tell a lie. His T80U and his T80BV are moving down here to counter this push from Coopz. He's also had an SU-25 in, which has taken fire, but will get out alive. Another SU-25 coming in. Unfortunately, all of Coopz' tanks are down. Another one is coming in now. Eager engaging on this recon chopper. Recon chopper goes down. SU-25 flittering around the back here. Coopz has one missile left. Surprised this one didn't fire at that, to be honest. It's not quite gone into range. It should have now. Coopz taking fire from the SU-25, though. But the armor really makes a difference on the SU, but it is down. Good push from Lathans up at the top here. He is making some progress. Still +4. 12 minutes left of this game. Coopz fighting hard. He has got a command tank here, but it's on its own. And there's the surrender. Commiserations, Coopz. Lathans well ahead in kills there in this one. As probably expected, he just had really good map control that entire game. And, you know, that Buratino, once again, just annihilating that town and allowing Lathans to push his forces in pretty rapidly afterwards. Kills and losses. T80 got quite a lot of kills, that command tank. MI-24 did okay. BMP2s were doing a good job. On the other side, Estrella got quite a few kills. MVP, probably between Estrella on this side then, and Lathans, probably the BMP2. Buratino only actually got 2 kills overall. It just did a hell of a lot of cohesion damage, and it did a lot of damage to a few squads that obviously it didn't get the final hit on, so it didn't get the kill. But very good use of that, as always. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please do like, share, subscribe. Stay tuned. There will be more from the March tournament coming up during the week.